I don't. The following podcast contains spoilers and explicit language. Listener discretion is advised. Hello and welcome to Animated Anarchy, the show that takes a critical look at animated features of all kinds, and we determine the good from the bad. Hello again, I'm Andrew Dickman. and I'm
Mike Ruocco.
Welcome to another, the Easter special, I guess.
I swear to God, Andrew.
And we're going to look at a movie that is...
had nothing to do with Easter.
Yeah, well... In the sense
only
that
reason you chose this movie because there's a rabbit in it.
Yes, there is a rabbit in this movie.
Well, I have to admit,
the thing is like I suggested Hop, and you were like, "No, that's not an animated movie. That's just a live action movie with a CG rabbit in it."
First of all, why do I sound like a fucking
That's not a movie.
Why am I a Cajun riverboat captain? First of all, you were like, "Let's do Hop," and I'm like, you know what? No, I kind of don't want to do that one.
And then what was the other one? The Peter Cottontail?
Yeah, the one I remember was the Rankin Bass Peter Cottontail.
Right.
With Vincent Price and...
Yeah. And we were thinking along okay, what are other Easter holiday specials that we can think about? And
there's
and of
four.
Course, yeah, there's of course, Here Comes the Easter Beagle.
Yeah, the Charlie Brown.
I don't know anything about that one. We haven't really talked, but we already talked about
Garfield's Sacrilegious Easter Special.
Yeah. No. We could have talked about the Will Vinton Easter Special. That was the
I
claymation.
forgot about that.
Because I know that there was one for Halloween and there was one for Easter.
I remember that one. I remember hearing from someone.
At least
who worked,
I think so.
He worked. I met someone. I forget who. Oh, who was it? Who worked on something that lost to the Will Vinton Easter Special, and they were like, "God fucking damn it!" We lost to a bunch of raisins.
Damn raisins. Yeah. So
today's movie.
This week's movie is only connected to Easter by just being a rabbit. The Adventures of the American Rabbit. And you look at me like...
It makes me really sad to be an American. Especially around this time of our lives with all this shit going on in the world.
Yeah.
It's like, let's watch The American Rabbit and have faith in our country again. This rabbit sucks eggs.
Yeah. Sucks eggs, like at Easter, you know? Hey, there you go. So there's more connections.
I guess that's more, that's yeah.
This movie was made in 1986, and it did get a theatrical release, apparently, to 242 theaters.
In America or in Europe?
America.
Oh.
Or possibly in Europe. I have no idea.
The thing,
well, here's the thing. It's an American movie made in Japan, and
by Toei,
and it was also in Europe as just the American Rabbit. So for some reason, The Adventures of was cut from the title when it went to London. So because
The Adventures, i.e., one.
Well, the thing is that we need to make sure that this is as yank as it is for the for the UK, but The Adventures is too yank. The
Tale of the American Rabbit.
Right. Yeah.
So can we? Let's get through this.
Yeah. Let's just go ahead with this.
As you could tell, I'm not a huge fan of this movie.
Well, I don't really have a lot of backstory about this movie other than the fact that I saw this on the Disney Channel back when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Along with a ton of other movies that just aired around at the time.
I have one short back. I mean, I've never seen this before today. I saw a clip of it at our friend's house like a year and a half, 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And being like, oh, I guess I should watch this at some point.
Yeah.
I regret that immensely. But I remember as a kid, I think it belonged to my oldest brother and sister who were probably, when this came out, they were probably about 12 or 13, I think, when this came out.
Probably.
They in our house, we had a stuffed doll of this rabbit that was a red, white, and blue rabbit with roller skates, like wheels on its feet.
So there was merchandise.
There was a toy. I remember it in my house. There being a toy and being like, "What the hell is this?"
Yeah.
And my mom was like, "I have no idea." No one knew what this was. It's just, but I mean,
Right.
imagine just finding a bunch of toys in a bag, like we had all of our toys in a big mesh bag,
Right.
And inside is a rabbit with crooked ears. That's red, white, and blue painted. It looked like a fucking giant Beanie Baby, and it had big yellow wheels coming out of its feet, like not roller skates, just wheels, like, and 4 wheels on each foot coming out of the feet. And as a kid, I'm like, what is this? What is this creature? And apparently, I guess it was a series of
What is
Hallmark
this?
cards.
I suppose this thing looks very. I mean, it looks like it's trying to be marketable. Like it's one of those things that for a time you would see in Hallmark on cards on like merchandise, and it just has a very Hallmark look to
The
it.
thing about it is like,
I forgot who it was.
I can understand if it's a red, white, and blue rabbit, but why does it have wheels in its feet? Especially in this movie where it's like, I guess he briefly like skids on them like a kid who wears those shoes with the wheels in them, like the what do they call them, wheelies? That's pretty much the equivalent. He just barely uses them, and then he flies anyway. So there's really no point of him having wheels.
It's like the wheels of a jet plane. So when he lands, he has like the wheels like skid.
And how does he
across.
stop?
Oh yeah, he doesn't have the stopper on the back.
Yeah, and that really doesn't do anything.
No.
Anyway,
Yeah.
I never understood why. Like, if you look at old roller skates,
yeah.
they used to have the big rubber stopper in the front.
Yeah.
What did that do?
All it really did was you just go onto your toes and then fall face forward onto the pavement. I remember those fondly. But rollerblades.
No, you don't remember because after that experience, you wouldn't want to remember anything after going head over heels.
Well,
on
I do
concrete.
remember having rollerblades, and then they had the stopper on the back, and that was a little bit more practical.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, he's a rabbit that when he runs, he turns into a superhero. Basically, he's just painted as the American flag stripes.
Yeah.
And stars on his ears, and he's just a superhero, and complete with a Superman-esque music.
It's
like
just, it feels almost exactly like a ripoff of this. It's the Christopher Reeve Superman theme.
It's completely the same almost. It just a few notes have changed.
Oh, that's all you really need to do to avoid copyright infringement.
Yeah.
But yeah, so let's talk about this movie. So it starts with, of course, like every animated movie, a baby being born and people coming out of the woodwork to congratulate the parents.
Oh, the very American home of the cottages next to the waterfall in
looks like freaking
Sweden.
or Switzerland or something.
Yeah.
And there's a rabbit, a big father rabbit, which you could tell because he has a mustache, and a mother rabbit who has pearls,
Who has a dress.
and a dress. And another thing too about the designs of these rabbits, because this whole world is full of these rabbits.
This really bothered you.
This bugs me. I guess it's an aesthetic choice, but the ears are. If you go on Google and look up the American rabbit, and you'll see what we mean, or look up a clip. I'm sure it's on YouTube. The ears, there's one ear that's bent that's in the front, and it's like perfectly in the center of the forehead, and then there's an ear behind. And when they turn their heads, it like makes this weird flopping action, which looks really odd when it's animated.
It just kind of flips.
And then on top of that, because the American rabbit has stars and stars on his. It looks just it makes you kind of sick when he turns his head.
You're just disgusted.
I'm disgusted by American rabbits.
What do you have against American rabbits, you un-American?
Well, consistency for starters.
But yeah, these rabbits have very weird. They have huge pillow-like ears, and they just kind of like one is a curl in front, and the other one is just behind it. And I'm guessing this is just a sort of just kind of like a design choice by whoever created the designs for this, who I assume is the only person in the credits who had his name signed.
Yeah, which we couldn't even read.
A font. Yeah, we couldn't read it.
We should have looked it up before we started.
I can't even find it, honestly.
I guess they don't want to be remembered for that.
There is no created by credit anywhere on like IMDb.
Did it even say like based on the line of American Rabbit toys by Hallmark?
I would assume. I would look it up, but honestly, yeah,
it's obviously like a card, like to sell cards, like 4th of July cards.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, This probably could have been a 4th of July episode, but Easter, it's fine.
Don't worry, we can watch Peter Cottontail on the 4th of July, and we can make up for it.
Yeah.
So the movie starts with this baby rabbit being born, and
it just is.
And it's just there, and you're like, oh, how darling. And then this old weird rabbit, voiced by Hal Smith, because you could tell because he sounds like a cross between Owl from Winnie the Pooh and Gyro Gearloose.
Wow,
and he comes
that
in,
kid really is something.
He's going to amount to something. Even the parents are very dismissive. That's what we noticed throughout the entire part with the parents being involved. The father's like, well, he's okay, I guess. Yeah, he's our son, I guess.
The father has absolutely no confidence in his son. They're on the next scene is they're on the seat. Like I guess Rob has grown up to be a kid. And now he's playing in soccer, and they're on the sidelines just cheering him on. And the same old man comes by. He's like, "Wow, those kids really are something." Oh yeah, they are.
What about that one?
What about that one?
Him? Well, he's pretty good. I mean, he's only good when he works with his friends and makes
he's
teamwork.
only as good as the other ones, basically. Oh, he really got spunk. He's got talent. Oh boy, howdy! And then he disappears. And
every time he appears, he suddenly is like, wow. And then they turn away for like a split second. Then they turn back and he's gone.
Yeah, and then they look to the camera and they're like, oh, where did he go? Oh, do you know where he went? Oh, that's so mysterious.
Huh?
And
do you know where he went?
Then the next scene is him playing the piano, and even that scene where he's like playing the piano, like dun, da, 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 da. His mom's like, no, you can't. You have to play it like this.
You have to feel it. You have to feel the music. All right, Mom.
I almost thought that his mom was gonna take like the music sheets and just beat him over the head with it. It's like, no, that's not how you do it. No more wire hangers. But outside, it's like
the American Rabbit,
an American story, an American Rabbit.
Anytime something horrible
story.
happens in this, anytime we describe like something really horrible and malicious going on, I'm just gonna go the American Rabbit. What does this have to do with America?
Yeah, exactly. America. But outside, while this is happening, the old man like comes across this other old lady, and there's like, "Oh, listen to that music." Huh? What are you talking about? And it's like, "Oh, that music is so." They just meander there for about 5 minutes.
And we have to say, speaking of, it's like the first time or first couple times that happens. That happens throughout the entire. Whoever wrote the script for this movie. Love to make sure everything had a nice, even keel to it. Like
this script must have been 300 pages
long. Because it's a lot of meandering dialogue where it's like, "Hey, can you help us? Well, what do you need?"
How did you describe it? You said it's like, "Wow, there's a lot of beating around the bush."
Yeah, a lot of beating around the bush, where like characters can easily come in and be like, "What's going on?" Well, this happened. Okay. There's a lot of.
So we better do this and that.
There's a lot of like not nonsensical, but just unnecessary back and forth.
Yeah.
Just to pad out the time. Because this movie is an hour and 20 minutes long.
It is. It's pretty long.
It's an 80-minute movie.
It felt longer, actually.
It feels long. Doesn't help that the animation is like that 80s robotic Japanese animation.
Yeah, I mean, it's
appealing, but it still feels very cold.
Yeah, exactly.
American Rabbit.
There's there's something about the movie that just
it meanders.
It's so slow. It's very slow, and it feels like nothing is really happening. So, continuing on. You should get your foot off of the.
Is that what's making that noise? Hold on.
Yeah. Okay. Here's something that's happening. I have a lamp that is the only source of light in this office, and if you've heard like
I guess electricity is coursing through my body.
Magnets, it's science. Whenever Mike has his foot on the base of this lamp, there is a slight humming noise coming through my headset.
I'm gonna do it. Let's see.
If you can hear that, I don't know if you can, but
I can hear it on my headphones.
We can certainly hear it on our headset. But anyway, we're digressing here because we don't want
to talk about this movie.
Okay, so
the American Rabbit, the lamp. Ooh, it's making noise.
Yeah, an American lamp.
The American lamp.
So now they're out in they're having a picnic, and Rob is just out in the field.
Don't wander too far, son.
Yeah, don't wander too far. And then all of a sudden, and this was hilarious when I was looking to you, and I was like, the parents are gonna die, just like Bruce Wayne. And then at that moment, there was like a boulder coming down from the hill nearby, and you were legitimately, no, they're not gonna do that, are they?
So suddenly, the boy's name is Robert.
Yeah, Rob Rabbit.
Rob Rabbit.
Rob Rabbit.
And he runs, and they use the animation over and over throughout this whole movie. Mm-hmm. He runs, and he turns into a streak of red, white, and blue. And
that's how he transforms.
And then he saves them from this giant boulder. And out of nowhere, the old man comes out.
In a wizard's robe.
In like a wizard's robe for no reason whatsoever. I just want to say that you maintain a legacy, and he just comes in and just like crashes their picnic and starts eating their food.
Yeah, he's talking about some legacy. It's like, for as long as this village has been around, there's always been one special person around, and that's the American Rabbit. And then the father pops out, like, oh yeah, the legacy. And I'm like, no, how do you know about this? So... But that's not the weirdest part of it. Once he is there to explain what the American Rabbit is, he's there to be, special and helpful among the Earth or America, whatever. And he's supposed to leave the village, and they're all sad about it. It's like, oh, I'm so sad to see you go. And then But the old man is basically just like, you just have to go. You're never gonna see these people ever again.
Because the way it was worded, I thought that he was gonna be like, well, come on, son, let's go.
Yeah.
And then Rob just leaves, and
he's
still there with the picnic eating food.
Rob is the only one that's walking away, and then he's walking further away, and he turns around, and you see his parents with the old man on the picnic blanket. And they disappear. They
cross dissolve into nothingness.
They visibly just cross dissolve into the sky. And we were just thinking, like, what? Did his life not exist? All this time, he was just born into nothing? What the hell was that?
Well, you have a legacy to keep. Well, my parents didn't die, so that's a good thing. Well, they never existed in the first place, so go.
Oh, now I have meaning. Because my parents are dead.
The American Rabbit.
So, yeah, now Rob is just left to fend for himself, and he walks off into San Francisco, because wherever this village was, I'm sure it was just
Oregon?
Yeah.
That's the only place I could think where there's straw huts. And
Yeah. So he goes to San Francisco, and he goes to the first bar
called the Pandemonium.
The Pandemonium.
Which is run by the most apathetic, calm, like teddy bear shaped.
There's a bartender that just goes like, "Hey, I'm just this far out. Why don't you need to talk to." Wait, here, okay.
No, there's a weird moment where he comes in and there's a janitor dog and a bartender dog. Mm-hmm. He goes in and he starts saying, because there's a sign in the window saying they're looking for a piano player, and he's like, I'm the American Rabbit. I guess I need a job. So he goes up and he's like, I see you have a piano, and he looks at the janitor and then just stops. And then walks over to the bar and addresses the bartender.
Janitor points over to the bartender.
I didn't see that.
So first he talks to the guy sweeping the floors as the janitor. He's just like, I'm here for the job. And then he points over to the barkeep. And then he goes to the barkeep and says like, I'm here for the job. And he's like, no, I'm not the guy you want to talk to. You want to talk to Teddy. So I'm thinking in the
added
script,
like 25 seconds of
I'm
nothing.
just thinking in the script, there's like 5 pages like, okay, and then Rob walks up to the janitor who he asks if he can have the job. But then the janitor points him to the barkeep, in which Rob walks over to the barkeep and asks for the job. But then the barkeep points off to the owner of the bar.
And at that point, Rob just gives up and says this isn't worth it, and he leaves the bar and never comes back. Movie ended.
Yeah,
The American Rabbit.
All of that was just to pad it.
I thought it was like a scene in like Blazing Saddles where the guy comes in and goes, "Sheriff, Mongo's in town." And he stops and then just walks up to the sheriff and goes, "Sheriff, the Mongo's in town. Mongo's in town. Mongo's back."
No. He was just there to talk to the barkeep, who has a very slight role in the movie, where he just like, cleans a glass and goes like, "No, I'm not the one you want, kid. You better talk to Teddy." And then Teddy comes out and is like, "Oh, wonderful, how nice. Yeah, I hear you here for the job." And he's kind of like, he's almost like Liberace a little bit, and
I wish my brother George were here.
Well, he kind of talks like Liberace mixed in with Bob Newhart.
Yeah, he's very like.
So it's like, oh, hey, yeah, can you play the piano a little more?
Well, we're kind of a rock and roll, like bop bop bop. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like,
that's very nice music, but we're not in a orchestral venue.
This isn't Carnegie Hall, son.
This is a bar.
rock. This is a rock bar. You see?
What you need to play is ba 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 ba.
And that's like that's Teddy, and that's
Teddy.
And then
and then he introduces. Here's Bunny O'Hare.
Bunny O'Hare.
Bunny O'Hare, who's like the sexy rabbit. I put that in quotes. Honestly,
you can tell she's a girl because she's pink and she has eyelashes.
Yeah, she's the Lola Bunny.
And she comes over and she's like, "Hey, you really play the piano, don't you?" Yeah, I do. Oh, and so then there's this
every line from her just sounds condescending, but it's not supposed to be.
Right.
It's just like, well, there's our pianist, and it's like,
thanks, lady.
All right.
You have no confidence in me. And then suddenly, earlier before he comes into San Francisco and he first meets this gang of bikers called
I forgot.
the Jackals.
He does almost immediately. Like he hasn't even stepped onto the bridge to cross into San Francisco, and the biker gang just comes up to this hill that overlooks San Francisco, and there's like, hey, look at here, it's a bunny. What you doing here, bunny?
Hey, I want to say I really like your helmet. This ain't a helmet, kid. This is a kettle.
That was a long
because I cook rabbit stew, and it goes on for like about 60 seconds,
and like
just for a joke that makes no sense.
That entire moment, I was just like, that was a long way for a little bit. This isn't a helmet. Hey guys, he thinks it's a helmet, and they all laugh. Written on the script that goes on for about 15 seconds, and then it's like, this isn't a helmet, kid. It's a kettle. Oh, gee. Well, I
should have known that before. It's a really beautiful kettle.
It's a really beautiful kettle. You know what you cook in a kettle?
Soup. Soup, he says, and he's offended by soup.
You see, soup. No, you know what you cook in a kettle?
You cook it in a soup pan,
Talking
kid.
about this is going to make this podcast go on for hours.
But that's like the whole movie's like this. Instead of just saying, you're a rabbit and I hate you, which would have taken 5 seconds, they go on a 1-minute spiel about, you know what this is? What is it? It's a kettle. Oh, okay. What do you use it for? Oh, I cook in it. You know what I cook in it? Soup? No, soup. You cook rabbit stew. Keep an eye out, kid. And then they just leave.
Yeah, they just leave.
And they're flying around with a buzzard. It was always there. Yeah, they wear buzzards on their lapels.
But then later on, they're in the bar. While Rob is there, they come into the bar. This is like, you need to pay for your accident insurance, and they break some glasses, and they're basically a gang of hustlers.
Things break here, Colonel. It'd be a shame if something happened to it.
Oh, hey, look at that. Yeah, it's.
And then. So then later they have the White Brothers, which are a bunch of just nondescript white rabbits.
Yeah. Later on, they say what their names are, but it's like it's not.
It doesn't fucking matter. They have no character whatsoever. Yeah. So these rabbits, and they're playing, and they just start playing, and then suddenly the jackals come back with motorcycles, and they just fucking tear the bar up.
Yeah, this is like a hopping bar. There's other animals just like dancing in there and everything. And then all of a sudden they just come in with their motorcycles and they just wreck the entire place.
Including a weird moment with a pig where one of them comes up to the pig and says, "Hey there," and she's like, "Oh, don't hurt me." "No, I'm just looking for the way to the library."
Library.
"Oh, can you tell me where it is?" "Oh, it's just down the block." And then he crashes through the wall.
Yeah.
And she keeps telling him directions even though he's gone.
It's like these are jokes that would work if they were timed better, you know?
Yeah.
It's one of those things where it's like, "Hey, gorgeous, can you tell me where the library is?" And she just
I'm
points.
not gonna hate you.
Yeah, but it goes on.
It gets really creepy because he corners her against the wall.
It almost seemed like it was gonna turn into a rape scene almost.
It played like it, and he was like getting really kind of close and
really creepy.
And I'm like, what is going on?
Well, the fact of the matter is, it was really creepy just because of how long it went. So it just felt like, are we watching like some sort of what are the Grindhouse movie? Like suddenly,
What does this have to do with the American Rabbit?
Yeah.
What is this? And then
where is the American Rabbit?
So they destroy the bar and they leave, and they say, well, we got to do something about this. So they want to do a march. And this is when we introduce characters that somehow know each other, but we're just introduced them, including who's probably, sad to say, is my favorite character in the movie, but not by much. It's a gorilla named Ping. His name is Ping Pong.
His name's Ping Pong.
He's voiced by Lorenzo Music.
Yeah.
So if you know who Lorenzo Music is, you just know that his voice sounds like every other voice he's ever done for animation.
So it's
ever.
Garfield.
So it's just Garfield. It's Garfield. It's Tommy Gummy. It's Peter Venkman. It's all the same voice.
Oh hey,
everybody. And he's a gorilla with a penis-shaped head. And it's really
it's what's really weird about this entire movie is that all the animals. I mean, the entire world is run by animals, so it's sort of like Zootopia, but some of the characters don't wear clothing,
and some
do,
and some of them have eyes that are together.
Yeah.
The birds have eyes that are together.
Some just have like dot eyes.
Including that creepy pig that was in the corner in one shot. And we're like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah, so this movie probably has some of the best like background character designs.
It's amazing.
They're hilarious.
Some of them are really great, and some of them are really like, what the hell am I looking
There
at?
was like a preacher goat just walking with the march rally over the bridge, and we're just like pointing them out, and it's just like, wow, look at that character. It's just amazing how that was in there.
Yeah.
And then there was one time there was just like a giraffe.
Just a giraffe.
Like on four legs, just standing there. No clothes, just standing there.
A giraffe.
Yeah, it's just a giraffe.
Yeah. So they cross this bridge, and of course, and then, the gorilla is like, hey, I hear about this. Some of those jackal fellas are going to be in the procession in the back. Oh, and we established that there's a villain that the jackals work with called...
They don't say his name.
They call
in the
him Walt.
They call him Walt, which I don't really understand.
Yeah,
if that's
and he's this big dude where you don't see just his sunglasses and his tie.
He's kind of an interesting villain design, honestly, if you think about it. Just in the fact that he's sunglasses over a tie and a collar.
And the tie is what moves.
And his eye, the tie moves and his eyes glow. And he has like a
striped suit,
like a hat on, and and he's constantly holding a
staff
staff
that the buzzard that flies around with the jackals always has with him.
And he's voiced by
Kenneth Mars.
Ken Mars,
who is probably in animation most famous for being King Triton in Little Mermaid, but he was also the grandfather dinosaur in Land Before Time, and a Nazi, and The Producers, starring Zero Mostel.
So yeah, but his name is Voltorb. Voltorb. You know, the Pokemon.
Yeah. I was gonna say Voltor like some weird Japanese robot.
That's Voltron.
Yeah, whatever. So yeah, and then he's like, I got a plan to those do-gooders, they have to be afraid of us, and so they do this weird...
well, here's the original plan for these guys is that they just want to take over the city, and by doing that, it's like, it's just mob mentality. It's just, hustle out the bars and strong arm them into paying them for,
to fear them.
Sure, it's
they're an intimidation group.
And then it's like
a hate group.
Yeah, pretty much. So, but now it's like they just want to cause problems. So it's like there's this march rally that they have on the bridge, and then the buzzard comes in and wrecks the bridge, and it topples them around, and they're about to die. But then the American Rabbit comes in.
Rob does his Clark Kent bit and runs away.
Yeah.
Turns into the American Rabbit, comes back, and he flies. Mm-hmm. And he ties the cables to the bridge back together so it doesn't fall.
Yeah.
And saves the day.
Yep.
And then
everyone is like, "Oh, hey, Rob, where were you? You missed the American Rabbit." I thought I didn't see him, but
I was in the back.
I was in the back, just talking to the jackals, and we were having a good time. I got to know one of them. His name is Bruno.
We're making all this up, but it's not very far off from what's going on. I mean, like, just there's always that moment, because throughout this whole movie you realize that it's like,
but I'm just thinking
something's happening. We have a plan. We know how to stop the American Rabbit. They do the plan.
Mm-hmm.
The group, including Robbie and everybody, figure out, oh no, something's going on. Robbie runs away, turns to the American Rabbit, saves the day.
This happens several
Curse
times.
is foiled again. They go back. Robbie, where have you been? Oh, it happens like 4 or 5 times throughout this entire movie. It's so repetitive and it's so stupid. So do it the first time.
And it takes a long time for them to get anywhere in a discussion.
So suddenly now, after they save the bridge, because they go on this rally and they're gonna do a cross country tour to raise money to rebuild the bar.
I guess. Where are the police, by the way? None of them have thought to, like...
call the police.
Talk to the police.
The army.
But I would think that's just like an 80s movie mentality. It's like, oh, the police aren't going to do anything, so let's do it ourselves.
Don't even acknowledge it. But then they have a plan, the Jackals and Voltor. Like, it sounds so stupid saying it. They have a plan to kidnap... to have people on their side join their side.
This is a stupid idea.
Stupid idea. So they said,
it's
well,
like,
the biggest guy...
We need to get the biggest and burliest character out there, and that would be Ping Pong.
The gorilla.
The gorilla.
so they and it's a long scene. Like, they don't need to go on this long.
Yeah, they have some stupid plan.
The Jackals disguise himself as a messenger boy, goes to Ping Pong's house, says, hey, I got a telegram. Oh, goody, a telegram. What does it say?
Yeah, it
says to meet.
Okay, generally, they're supposed to meet somewhere or follow the messenger, and we'll meet wherever we're supposed to meet. And then he stupidly follows the messenger, who's riding the motorcycle, by the way.
And he has the big buzzard Jackal logo on him.
Yeah,
still.
that's the thing. Everything that they do has their logo on it, so. The people.
That's a sign that no one notices.
Yeah, no one really notices, except for certain moments when Rob looks at it. He notices, like, oh, hey. So he's the only person that actually acknowledges the fact that this vulture logo exists. So everyone else is oblivious to it, and so the gorilla follows the jackal, and they go into the train yard of some sort. And
this is my favorite part.
Yes, and the jackals ambush him, or they make some stupid line as like, oh, you got a sign for this telegram, and then I'll be on my way. Anyone got a pen? And he takes a syringe, and he just
shoves it into Ping Pong's arm.
Shoves it in Ping Pong's arm.
Ow.
And he's like, ow. And then he gets hazy, and he falls over, and now he's addicted to
heroin. Did the jackals get him addicted to heroin? Oh, here's a pen. Anyone got a pen? Jackal comes out of nowhere and just syringes him.
Just stabs him.
And he goes out, and then they're like, and then they...
But then, okay, I guess that's basically they kidnap him. But the next day, it's like, I don't even think that they... At first, it's like, you don't really think that Ping was a part of their group. He was just another character that was in the March rally.
Yeah.
Now it's like, I wonder where Ping went to. And they're at the train yard. They're at the train yard in the car, and Rob
they're ready to start their tour.
Rob is the only one that's actually investigating around this train yard, even though he has no idea that Ping is missing, or if he was waiting there for them. It's like
they're suddenly just there.
They're just there
with no clues.
And Rob is like, he's looking at the syringes, like, I guess there was a drugged monkey around here somewhere, and he was doing.
And even
heroin.
one of the guys like, well, so it's what does he say? It's a hypodermic needle. So what?
Yeah. It's a hypodermic needle. So what? Oh, but there's also...
So what?
There's also Ping's comb and a motorcycle. One of the jackals
left their motorcycle here.
But it's like, after that conversation, they're just like, hey, look, we got to be on the road. And then Rob is just like, okay. And then he jumps into the car, and they drive straight to the Grand Canyon, where they're apparently supposed to go to a
place called the Trapdoor Inn.
Yeah, which do they even lead to who gave him that, or was it just like...
They said it's here in the Grand Canyon.
Yeah,
first of all, the Grand Canyon's really, just for the record, it's really fucking huge.
Yeah.
There's no clubs on the edge of the Grand Canyon.
Yeah, exactly.
And they're driving through, and then Rob's like, well, we should probably go by raft. You could see it better. So he just throws them in the raft, And he's like, "Hey, what about you?" And they're like,
"Oh, I'm
I'm gonna stay on the road.
I'll see you around on the other side or something." And then he goes actually. Oh well, no, the jackals
corner him, and they take him down into this trap door that's in the bushes, down below into this cavern, and then he tricks him into tap dance. He says, "Oh, what are you?" It's like, "What are you?" It's like, "Oh, I'm part of the band. I'm a tap dancer."
There's no tap dancing in that band.
In that band, the White Brothers don't have a tap dancer. Well, why don't you show us a little bit of tap dancing? Any tap dancers?
Hey, we could get in trouble for this. Nah, he's gonna be lunch meat in a bit, so tap dance. Why don't you? And it just keeps going.
It goes on for like
Listen, we have to explain that there is so much meandering in all of the conversation.
Anything we describe actually goes on for about 5 times longer. Because that's what happens. There'll be like a moment where it's like, oh, he just needs a diversion to get out of there.
Yeah.
But instead they have to have the characters do these unnecessary back and forth.
But meanwhile, the gorilla, it's like Voltor and some of the other vultures, jackals, goddamn. This is just so many animal
The bad guys have Ping in a big...
In a tank.
Yeah.
They have him in a tank. And it's like, you will join us, won't you? It's like, oh, I can't really join you. I gotta
Anyone got any
you.
heroin?
Hey,
our joke throughout this is that he was addicted to heroin.
You guys got any of the good stuff? Maybe I'll join you. But yeah, they start
Did
filling
someone
up.
say joint? There's a moment later where they say like,
hey,
what is this joint? And then we just imagine Ping going, did someone say joint? Just addicted to drugs because of these fucking jackals.
So he's stuck in the tank, and they're filling up with water because somehow they want him to join in their ranks. This is the stupidest plan ever. It's like this. Okay, first off, this gorilla is really the most passive aggressive character in the entire.
I guess I'll die.
It's like, oh, I guess that something happened.
I would never leave the American Rabbit.
I would never go against the American Rabbit. He's a nice guy. He's really nice. He's
I'm gonna fucking drown. For American Rabbit. The American Rabbit.
A gorilla drowns.
The American Rabbit.
Yeah. But anyway, the American Rabbit just like just beats the hell out of these jackals. And then opens up the tank, which has more water. More water flows out of it than there was that was contained in the tank in the first place. And then they just flow out. I guess Voltors, whatever. They fly up, take him to the raft, and then the American Rabbit, like, I guess, saves
the raft.
Some of the people on the raft, and then puts them.
This is probably the moment where when all this meandering talk, it's like watching it as a viewer, you're like, I think you forgot something.
Yeah,
because he saves the girl and the panda
and the gorilla. And
no, the gorilla was already on land. But he goes and he puts them on land, and they're coming up to a waterfall. Like the waterfall is there,
and they're starting to talk about like making a campfire. And the female rabbit is hitting on the American Rabbit.
And he's like, "What? You look warm by the fire. Like, there isn't a fire, but you should make one." Flies away, and then he's like, "Oh, I forgot about the band. I guess that
I gotta get the band.
I gotta go save the band."
They're gonna go over the. See, here's the thing. Rob's idea was, in the first place, was like, oh, I gotta find the gorilla. He's probably somewhere here in the Grand Canyon, so I'm just gonna put all of my other friends on a raft that is going to eventually careen over a waterfall, and whatever, time will tell what will happen afterwards. And then he saves some of them, and they're gonna go over the waterfall, and he's talking to the other characters who are already saved. He's like, oh, well, gee, maybe you should make a fireplace or something, and then gets hit on, and then still talking, and
I kind of have to go save the band.
I really need to save the band. I mean, this is not a time. None of the other characters have any sense of urgency about the
and then
band.
Eventually you cut back and I just imagine them be like, did he just fucking forget us?
Yeah, they're just like watching.
Yeah, the only characters with personality. I'm going to save you guys.
Huh. Well, all right. I guess we're dead.
And he saves them.
He saves them. They do go over the waterfall, and he saves them. Yeah, he catches them. But yeah, then thank God that the fireplace was or the campfire was set up.
And they're like, oh, goody, the campfire. They set it up in 25 seconds with a roaring fire and everything.
And then he leaves, and then Rob comes back again, and he says, like, oh, gee, guys, what happened?
Rob, you piece of shit. You missed everything.
Rob, you left us to die. You put us in a raft in a river rapid.
So they go to New Orleans.
Yeah, that's the next destination, New Orleans.
Complete with garbage and drunken people in the street. It's exactly like New Orleans.
It's great. It's great that
it's like you see like a drunken dog out in the.
It's great that you see that. You see other characters on the sideline just getting drunk or dancing or doing some really shady stuff on American Rabbit. And so they get to this other place, this other bar, and there's a pig outside, a naked pig who looks like Charlie Brown. And he's
the Hog and Frog.
Yeah, the Hog and Frog. And there's like, hey, what happened to the place? Oh, this place burned down overnight. I can't.
I was doing some paperwork. Well, suddenly they came in and destroyed the place.
Some joke about pigs flying because his next career is going to be
yeah, and then he ended up saying, I guess I'll be a lawyer instead. What does this scene have to do with anything? So the place they were supposed to go to is burnt down.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I guess that's it. Goodbye. And they leave.
This is a summary of
what's going on. It goes on much longer.
But then they go to another bar, which is run, of course, by the Jackals. And then there's this other long-winded area. It's like, oh, but we need to...
we want to be fair.
We want to be fair. We need to audition. No. You
got the job.
Look, you got the job, damn it. Just take the frickin' job.
No, it would be right if we audition. Okay, fine, you audition. They play
and then
one
they just
note.
make note, and one's like, that was beautiful, beautiful. All right, everyone outside, come on, let's go.
This movie should have been about 40 minutes long. Instead, it was an hour and 22 minutes, mostly just bantering for no reason.
Yeah, this could have been a half-hour special.
Yeah, and they get on a riverboat.
Now they're on a riverboat, and all the Jackals are on there. So here's the thing. They make some kind of offhanded comment about, it's like, oh, not all Jackals are like that. Like there's supposed to be some sort of...
I wasn't trying to say anything, is what Robbie says.
Yeah, it's like, no, all the Jackals are evil, and they want to kill you. If you're trying to make any statement about racism in this, you're going about it all wrong. There probably should be a good jackal around or something to kind of balance that whole issue. But no, every jackal that they meet, they're like, oh, these guys are nice jackals, not like those evil jackals that we keep running into. And
I like these nice jackals, the ones that have the same exact buzzard logo on their armbands.
And the same 5 people in the group.
And their vulture.
Yeah. So, now it's like they're covering, while they're playing in the band in the middle of the ballroom, they get locked in, and all the Jackals are pouring gasoline all over the boat, the riverboat. So they just light it on fire. It immediately goes up into flames. Everything is covered in fire.
And they escape on a separate boat.
Yeah.
And go riding off. And then there's a weird moment where the thing is on fire, and then even they need to escape, and then Rob goes up to Ping, the gorilla, and goes, I wouldn't normally ask this of you, but I think we need to tear the door down.
Everything is on fire while this is happening. While they
are can you have at least a little bit of sense of urgency, please?
They are passively aggressively just talking to each other. It's like, Ping, look, I wouldn't normally ask of you of this, but could you break the doors off their hinges, please, if you may? And then Ping is just like, oh, yeah, gee, I wouldn't usually do that, but I'll do it for you. And then he breaks open the door, but there are bars behind the frickin' door.
Oops.
Yeah, so all that scene was completely unnecessary.
So somehow Rob hides and turns to the American Rabbit and saves them again.
Yeah, just bursts them through the ceiling.
Yeah. And then...
Yeah, and he sets them aside, like, at a dock, and he's just like, is everyone okay? And they're discussing for a while, but then it takes him 10 minutes to realize, hey, where's Rob? Where's Rob? Oh, God, he's back on the boat!
And then there's this weird back and forth where it's like, they go up to the American Rabbit. It's like, oh, I'm sure he's American Rob. As the American goes, oh, I'm sure he's fine.
At this point, it's like I was thinking to myself, it's like,
how do you write yourself out of this fucking corner, American Rabbit?
I feel like American Rabbit has basically said it's like, well, the needs of the many outweigh the few. It's
only one rabbit.
It's only one guy. I mean, one out of many.
9 out of 10 ain't bad. It's still a passing score, you guys.
No, he makes up like some excuse.
Oh, I know him. He's a good swimmer.
He's a good swimmer. He was in a fucking fiery boat that exploded as soon as they escaped.
Flew away.
And it's
so stupid. And so all their and so he's like, he goes back to find out what happened, and he goes on their boat.
Yeah, he finds the boat of the vulture.
The villains,
gang.
and then he overhears that they're going to New York.
Yeah,
and that's when they're going to take over. And then even the moment where they're like, boss, why are we doing all this? Because we're evil, num num. Num num. Wait a minute. Fighting words. You want to fight? Them's fighting words.
Yeah. It is kind of funny how he continuously just
and this is when you realize
these jackals
because I even said right before they said that, I'm like, this is one of those 80s villain groups where their motive is just because they're evil.
Yeah.
There's no motive.
There is no other motive because at first it just seemed like, okay, we're doing this because we're trying to hustle the city. But now it's like they're just following this particular band throughout as they do a cross-country American tour. And they're just following him and just trying to make their lives miserable. They don't have any other plan besides this. It's like, because we're evil, num-num. And that's a line that was stated in this movie.
Yeah. That's the main boss.
Yeah, that's the
main... big, intimidating boss calls them num-num.
But apparently he has, like, a bigger plan. And he's just like, we're going to go to New York. And we're going to take over New York. And then they don't explain actually what happens next. It happens in a series of events.
But the thing is, the American Rabbit overhears the entire conversation that they're going to New York. He flies back, goes in the water, says, Rob, and sinks underneath the water, and then comes back up as Rob.
Yeah.
And then he comes up, he's like, hey, I'm a pretty good swimmer, you guys. I'm back. Hey. Oh, thank God you're alive. And then he's like, hey, guys, let's go to New York. And you're like, wait a minute, you want to bring him to the danger?
Yeah, we don't have any instruments anymore. What are we going to do in New York?
And then Teddy the panda goes like, oh, don't worry about that.
George
He's like, oh, don't worry about that. I have some friends in New York, corporate friends, friends with money. And it's like, really?
And wipe. Wipe to the next scene.
The Hallmark Corporation, I bet.
Yeah.
And then, so they get to New York, the cleanest New York has ever been.
They get there by hitchhiking on a bunch of trucks,
and one
of them being the old man who like leaves him on near a sign that says New York City 50 miles.
That always bugged me. Like you see in a cartoon where it's like, oh, this is goodbye. Oh wait, we got another 100 miles to go. What do we do?
Yeah.
Well, usually they should say, well, this is my stop. I can only go as far as here. You're on your own.
Yeah.
Of all the times they could have had a moment where it's like, oh, I can only take you this far. Goodbye. They don't do that.
Yeah.
So he just drops them off randomly 50 miles away from New York City. And then there's this weird moment where every time, I want to make a repeating loop of this because it's brilliant. They're sad by the side of the road. They see a car coming in the distance. They go, yay! The car just passes by. Oh.
Hey!
Oh. So then they get picked up by a chocolate delivery truck driven by
it's basically Augie Doggy and Doggy Daddy
as
mooses.
And they're driving a chocolate truck, which is like, get it? The chocolate moose.
Do you get it? They're chocolate mooses. Mises. What is the plural of
moose?
Moose.
It's just
moose.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Look at these moose.
Look at all that moose.
Yeah.
Anyway, so they get to New York.
Well, that's the thing. It's like they drop them off at New York, and then the chocolate truck keeps going, but then they're stopped by the jackals, and they're kidnapped by the jackals. So, and then we see them shackled in like I guess in a dungeon of some sort, and they have a conversation like, well, what do they want with all our chocolate? Well, I can only imagine that they want to do it for evil purposes.
This father and son team, I want to know more about their history. Yeah. Of all the characters, like, what's going on, Dad? well, it seems we're strapped inside of a dungeon.
Yeah.
It's so stupid.
Yeah.
And then at that point, somehow the Rob and the rabbits and Ping, they go up to Teddy's corporate friends who are a bunch of penguins in a boardroom.
Yeah, they're like, hey,
how's it
Teddy,
going?
Baby,
Time is money.
How's it going?
Yeah. And then they're like, listen, we need some instruments. And they were like, can you rent us some instruments? Sure, but there's going to be this, this, and this. So get us the money. You understand. And they're all really sad, like, okay. And they leave. And right when they leave, they go down in the elevator.
Voltor and the
Jackals come up, and they ask, we want to rent the Statue of Liberty. For the orphans.
For the orphans.
And even the penguins are like, we can't really do that.
Because we don't own the Statue of Liberty.
We don't
First
own it.
off.
It's like to rent a monument. And then what was the reasoning? Like, how did they get it? It's something about chocolate?
It's like, we'll give you money. Well, it's not really about the money. We'll give you the rights to the popcorn
concession.
And
they're like, whack, 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 whack. And they agree?
I don't remember.
Somehow?
Yeah.
Somehow. But either way, they rent out and they're going to give out free coupons for chocolate.
These penguins that own the Statue of Liberty, which, by the way,
is a human.
Is a human.
It's a representation of the Statue of Liberty.
That's just, yeah. That just raises more questions. But, I mean, I keep wondering, what the hell is their plan? It's like, okay, now we have chocolate, and what we're going to do is we're going to use chocolate to lure people into the Statue of Liberty, I guess, which is lined up with tons of dynamite, and we have a switch, and we're going to use that to blow up the Statue of Liberty.
The Doomsday Switch.
Yeah, no, they don't even. That wasn't even like the whole concept, and that was later on. It was like this is just like we lined the Statue of Liberty with dynamite, and we're gonna blow it the hell up
with all these people in it.
With all these people in it, and I guess
these jackals are a terrorist group.
Yeah, but they're like, what do they? How does they think that this is gonna make? For some reason, it does make them rule all over New York.
So yeah, because the American Rabbit comes in and tries to save the day, and they fight. And then the weird thing is, he hits the boss. The boss pops.
Yeah, he pops like a balloon.
And then you realize that the villain was the Vulture the whole time.
Yep.
And it's like, but the Vulture didn't even move his mouth.
He was a ventriloquist.
But there's times where the Vulture's flying around, and they leave the boss with the jackals. Was there ever an awkward moment where they were like, so?
Yeah, the jackals don't even question
so boss,
it.
what do you think? Oh, I guess he's not talking to us right now. I guess he's silent.
Yeah, in a room with like just Vulture right there, like standing in front of us, like, hey boss, what do you think we should do with this rabbit? Boss. I guess he's sleeping.
I guess we should ask him later. He's feeling, So then you find out that it's the Vulture, and the Vulture threatens to blow up the Statue of Liberty. So the American Rabbit succumbs to the Vulture and flies around, telling everybody that they're now in control, and if you're good, he's crying, they might give you a sliver of chocolate.
While this is happening, a really depressing version of Purple Mountain's Majesty is playing.
Oh, beautiful for spacious skies.
Yeah.
Very sad, low-key version.
You must succumb to the evil
of the
Vulture and the jackals. They now control everything. Which, first off, no, they don't.
There's 7 jackals.
There's 7 jackals!
Oh, like 5 or 7 jackals and 1 vulture. And then there's even a moment where the jackals are taking over the city. They go into a police station. There's a few seconds, which is probably the funniest shot in the whole thing.
Yeah.
They go in there's a few seconds, and then a bunch of dejected cops walk out.
Yeah, they're not even being pushed out. They're just kind of like, oh, I guess we lost our job.
I guess we're fired. I guess.
There's a moment where the jackals who have now
taken over,
they become Nazis basically. They're just full on.
They go up to a drunken wino dog and say, "Where's your identification?" "Oh, I guess you're fine. Can I have some chocolate?" "Get out of here!"
Yes.
It's so stupid.
That was exactly what happens. Like, "Can I have some chocolate?" "Get out of here!"
You piece of shit.
But then it's like they start doing hustles like, oh, you need to pay for your insurance. And then the lady who was at the door.
New York lady's like, look, Mac, I'm not paying nobody, you see? And then the guy, the jackal's going to attack him. And then suddenly all these like New Yorker people are coming out and looking at him. He's like, and they're intimidating him. Oh, I didn't, I don't mean, I'm just a joke, you see. And then the whole city kind of just revolts.
Yeah.
And in all honesty, that's exactly what would happen in New York. Everyone would be just like, oh, fuck you. Which is probably the most realistic thing about this movie. It's just a bunch of New Yorkers are pretty much telling these 5 jackals to go fuck themselves.
The fact that the jackals got into power in the first place is really confusing. Because all there really is this mention of a doomsday switch, which I guess would blow up all of New York, or just the Statue of Liberty. Who knows?
No establish what this I mean, I assume by doomsday he somehow has access to nuclear arms.
I guess so.
I don't know. They don't establish it. He just has a magic
there's no
MacGuffin switch.
There's no mention of a president or a mayor or any sort of higher
army.
authority. There probably would have been like, even if there was like a mayor character in this movie, I would have probably understood that they kicked him out or something and now they're in power.
Yeah.
But no, they're just like in power now. All of a sudden.
Right. And then later on you see Rob go into a taxi where the old rabbit is there.
Yeah.
And he's crying like, I failed.
But I failed. And like that great Donatello voice. Like from the
and the
80s.
old rabbit's like, well, yeah, I guess you failed, but you can make it up.
Yeah. I guess like the speech is supposed to be really uplifting or something, but I just like, I tuned it out.
Yeah, and then he's like, well, here's your stop. And he drops him off in front of a travel center, which has a just one little poster of the Niagara Falls in front of it. And he looks at it and he goes, I got it. He transforms to the American Rabbit. And then there's this weird monologue. He's like, I'm going to go to Niagara Falls and stop the water, which will stop the generators, which will... no power in New York, which will disarm the doomsday device, which will do this, which will do that, and it'll do this, and it'll do that. And he flies, and somehow, and part of me is like, I know that Niagara Falls does generate power.
Yeah.
I don't think they generate power for New York City's particularly.
Yeah.
But like he's gonna stop the power, and then
all of New York goes into a blackout.
Right. And then at that moment, the vulture. And even there's a weird moment where the vulture confronts the main jackal and says,
Yeah.
and he just sort of goes crazy.
Yeah.
Like he's like, so you're gonna switch sides, eh? You can't do this, eh? Well, I'll show you, and you assholes. And
yeah. I know what they're thinking. The American Rabbit will save us. The American Rabbit will save us. Well, tough nipples. I'm gonna blow everything up, and there's nothing you can do to stop me.
yeah, and then later when the power goes out, he just flips the switch and breaks it, and then he just goes and like freaks out.
Yeah.
Which is like, well, once the power comes back on, that doomsday device is going to go off.
Well, now everyone is at Niagara Falls.
For some reason. They get there. First of all, it's a very short drive from Niagara Falls to New York City. Yeah. I mean, it's all the way on the other side of a state, like maybe like a 6-hour drive. It's not too bad. I think we can manage it.
Yeah.
So suddenly they're all there, and the American Rabbit, using his lightning powers stops the water.
He's holding the water up. The waterfall has basically stopped dead in its tracks where the American Rabbit is, and he's just holding it up like as if he was holding up boxes. It was, and they're just there, and then the vulture like comes in and he pushes the kid moose off onto the bottom because he's I guess his logic
drops
is,
him off at the base of the waterfall, and then the father goes down to save his son, and they're both down there.
Here is a great moment. I love this moment because it is so unnecessarily stupid and also
like this whole movie.
Also cryptic. I mean, it's like, do it, Rabbit. One life is not enough for many. Just give it. Just let go of the waterfall.
Don't let him suffer. We don't want the rest of the world to suffer like we did.
Just kill us. Kill us now. Kill me and my boy.
And the boy's like, he's right.
What?
Wait. And it's weird because they're like, it's, do it for America, American Rabbit. And then suddenly Pip...
I don't even think he says do it for America.
I don't know. He says, he just, it's something stupid.
There is very little... Of him. There is very little patriotic messages in this.
I love when he does it very selflessly, and then you just see Ping like, I got you.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, he's here. Well, that's whatever you want to do, American Rabbit. And Ping brings him back up, and then he fights with the vulture.
Yeah. He lets go of the waterfall, and then he chases after the vulture, and
Suddenly it snows.
suddenly it's snowing. I guess they're now in Alaska, and
They crossed the border into Canada.
yeah.
Where technically American Rabbit probably have no jurisdiction whatsoever.
Yeah, exactly. He says, like, there won't be anyone who will cry for you, you evil bird.
Yeah, he says, doesn't he say that?
He says, like,
And
you
the
evil
vulture
bird.
always does like the thing at the end with the villains, like we could work together.
Our powers can be combined as one. We will rule the world together, you and me.
Yeah, and then he's slowly getting covered in snow, which is making him tired.
Yeah.
And then he says his line like, "No one will cry for you, you asshole."
You evil bird.
And then suddenly the bird tries to strike at him and misses, and I guess he's so heavy that he just nosedives into the ground. You just see him go like just into the snow.
Yeah, we're just...
We assume he
froze
to death.
died.
Yeah.
We assume that the buzzard is now gone.
So he flies back, turns back into Rob, and they're like, "You missed it again." And it's like, well, same shit.
Same story.
Second verse, same as the first. And then there's that weird romantic moment where he's with
She is clearly 10 years
Bonnie
older
O'Hare.
than
Yeah.
him.
And then they have a romantic moment, and then he like winks at the camera. Oh no, they say, "Look, I think we could see him.
Yeah, he's right over
He's
there.
doing barrel rolls.
Oh, he's doing... What?
He's looking at nothing." And I was
that's
like,
the
"What's going on?"
That's the stupidest thing to explain, like, oh, hey, I'm not the American Rabbit. I'm Rob. Look, he's over there in the sky.
I see him.
Yeah, I guess.
Just like Americans blinded by someone else telling them what to do.
Yeah, pretty
the
much.
American Rabbit.
That's probably very American.
And then he turns to the camera and winks, and that's the end. And we looked at each other, and I'm like, that fucking sucked, Andrew.
you were just like, no, that doesn't explain anything.
Wait, don't stop the movie now. Well, yeah, stop the movie, but explain something. Why do you have wheels on your feet, American Rabbit?
Yeah.
Why does
Like,
the gorilla have a penis head, American Rabbit?
Hooked on to, like, the base of his feet. Like,
Why? So does Ping get help for his heroin addiction, American Rabbit? What happens?
Yeah, American Rabbit is one of the most un-American things, or maybe it could be. I don't know.
Do you know what? I would say I can compare it to one attribute of America.
Trump.
No, lazy.
Oh yeah.
I mean, the writing is lazy.
Yeah, yeah.
The animation is, well, it's outsourced, kind of that early 80s style Japanese kind of animation that they do for American cartoons.
Yeah.
Back when Japan was the place to outsource cartoons to.
I suppose so. And that's not necessarily the problem. I honestly, the biggest problem is just how it's written and how things are paced.
Nothing makes sense.
No, nothing really makes sense to the fact that it's like, this is just something that happens. There's no explanation as to why it's happening. It just happens. It's like, oh, how are we going to do this, boss? Oh, we're going to do it by being evil. That's the only explanation whatsoever.
And then anytime where you need an explanation, they don't explain it. And then anytime when nothing needs an explanation, they spend 5 times longer than they need to explain something.
Yeah. They just take the moment to just pass along this dialogue back and forth.
So go see Batman versus Superman this weekend. No.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just this. It's like where the movie should have had more. They didn't do anything.
Oh my God, it is Walt. His name is Walt. I'm looking at the IMDb page right now, and it says Walt/Voltor. So that's a thing.
Okay.
Also, I think one of the moose's name is called Toulouse.
Toulouse
the moose. Like Too loose Loo.
What does that mean?
I don't know.
That's sexual sounding.
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
Hi, Toulouse.
Toulouse-Lautrec.
That explains your son, Toulouse. I have many sons.
Yeah.
That's why they call me Toulouse.
Yeah, but this movie had like a nice collection of voice actors though of the time.
Bob Holt.
Yeah.
Kenneth Mars.
Barry Gordon.
Hal Smith.
Lou Horn.
Brucey Taylor.
Yeah. So there was a lot of good
Lorenzo Music, of course. I love Lorenzo Music in anything, but I love him as the heroin-addicted, penis-headed gorilla.
God.
Fuck Garfield.
Yeah.
Screw all those other characters.
Yeah.
Penis-headed, heroin-addicted gorilla. named Ping Pong.
That's probably the most memorable thing about this entire movie.
That's all we can. Let's see. Okay,
We can't really. I mean,
we said what's worst. Let's say what is good about it.
all right.
The voice cast. Well, we said
the voice cast is really good.
The weird background designs of the characters.
I do like looking at the NPCs, as I call them. Just all the little background things that just kind of like, because each scene there's a group of characters. There is a new character design for whatever they need to use.
And some of them are drunk.
Yeah, a lot of them.
I like
drunk.
the dog who's obviously drinking a beer in a paper bag, sitting in an alley.
Yeah, that happens.
And a drunken dog. A lot of drunken dogs in this movie.
Yeah, there are. I don't know what that's trying to say.
I can't really say.
We don't see that barkeep at all after the bridge scene.
Far out, man.
Yeah, far out.
Far out, man.
That's what he says.
I guess I'll not.
That's his catchphrase.
Okay, you guys go on tour. I guess I'll stay here and not have a job.
Far out.
Here at this bar.
Yeah, did they even get the money back? No, they didn't.
Nothing's explained at the end.
No.
You're left.
Well, I guess now
questions.
that Walt's gone, I guess
they can go on tour.
Yeah.
With still no instruments or money to get those instruments from the Penguins.
Yeah.
At the board meeting, the Penguin board meeting, where there's board meetings filled with penguins talking about money and not loaning money out to people.
Yeah, there is a strange it's this hierarchy of characters of animals in this, where a vulture is it's just a bird, but it's evil and it has absolutely no anthropomorphic quality to it. The penguins are just corporate douchebags that I guess because
perfect in New York.
And and we don't see Rob's parents ever again, so they pretty much just were a dream. They were just
the old man rabbit took them away from
Rob's entire childhood was just a dream sequence.
This whole movie's a dream.
Yeah.
Do you know why they call it the American Dream?
It's
It's a George Carlin joke. Do you know why they call it the American Dream? Because you got to be asleep to believe it. The American Rabbit.
This is an American nightmare. That's what it is. Yeah, and there really isn't anything American about it, other than the fact that, hey, now we're in San Francisco. Hey, now we're at the Grand Canyon. Hey, now we're in New York.
Now we're in New Orleans.
Yeah, and hey, here's Niagara Falls.
Here's a heroin-addicted gorilla. I'm never gonna let that go.
Yeah,
I just love that. That should be like something we should just post by itself. It's just him. Anyone got a pen? Ow. That's what this movie feels like. Just someone surprising you with an hypodermic needle.
We're gonna get the gorilla addicted to drugs, and then
he'll be one of us.
We'll rule the world.
Yeah, you didn't put a lot of thought into this, Mr. Vulture Man.
Shut up, new num num.
I think that's it.
That's about it. We hope you
Happy Easter.
Yes, Happy Easter, an American tradition.
Please watch Easter Beagle, Charlie Brown.
Yeah, watch any other Easter special outside of this, which is not an Easter special. We really hope you enjoyed our review of The Adventures of the American Rabbit, which in the UK it's just The American Rabbit. For all our European friends. But if you'd like to discuss this movie along with us, we post this on Facebook. You can go to our Facebook page, which is facebook.com/animatedanarchycast. And you can like us there, and that would be the best way to get in touch with us or discuss any sort of movies that you would like to see us talk about, or any movies that you like to talk about. And please just go ahead there and become a nice little community.
Nice talking, Popeye.
We're gonna be a talks about community. Olive oil.
Yeah. And
Sorry, I choked on boba.
you can find
Oh, hold on.
You okay, sir?
Oh.
You chokes on the bobas?
Note to self: do not try to do a Popeye impression while trying to chew on boba at the same time.
Yes, that would be a mistake. Choked on me spinach.
I choked on me bobas.
If you can mainly find our podcast on podbean.com, but you can also find us on iTunes and Stitcher. Please give us a favorable review if you would like, and that would help us spread the word about our podcast. And also, we are on Patreon. You can find us on patreon.com/Andrew Dickman. That's my name. And you can pledge for I think it's a $5, $10 tier or something. And you can get a
Exclusive
episode a month in advance. So that it makes it exclusive, and it would also help the podcast immensely because we do not have a sponsor, and it would help us immensely, and also would help out my artwork and other things that I do, and not for Mike though. It's just
I'm riding the coattails of this gentleman. That's all I do.
No, Mike, you're amazing.
Amazing coattail rider.
Yes. You num.
You num.
We are also on Twitter. I am at AWD.
On Twitter.
Mike, you're at
A Guy Who Draws.
And I am at AWD Twit. Well, that's all we can say about this Easter special of an American tradition of an American rabbit. I don't know. I am Andrew Dickman.
Sorry. Sorry, I still have bulb in my throat. Oh, shit. And I'm Mike Ruocco. I'm sorry.
Thank you for joining us on Animated Anarchy. We'll see you next time.
I'm choking.